All right. Welcome everyone to the Libertarian Party of California Executive Committee meeting, Monday, August 19th, 2024. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting. I will call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. If the secretary would be so kind as to call the roll whenever he's ready.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. We'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
I am here.
And Mr. Edgar's here, and Ms. Hallisey,
I'm here.
and Ms. Stump, I believe, is not here. Mr. Dean
I'm here.
and Mr. Brown, Graham Brown. Did he just say he was here?
I don't see
Oh,
him on
yeah,
here.
he's-
If someone could shoot him a quick text and just make sure.
Okay, Mr. Byrd,
Present.
Mr. Hardwig,
Present.
Mr. Nichols, I thought I saw him. Okay, he's not. All right.
No Nichols.
Mr. Strachan,
Present.
Mr. Sullivan,
Here.
and Mr. Cardin, I believe is a no. Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Present.
Okay, that concludes the roll, and presumably Mr. Apostolopoulos will be seated. Mr.
That is correct.
Malcolm, sorry, I didn't call your name. So yes, you're obviously in attendance.
I think I'm here, at least physically. Time will determine if mentally, but yes, we'll seat Mr. Apostolopoulos for the at-large vacancy, and we'll go ahead and move forward. If someone could text, I've already taken the liberty of just retexting Graham Brown and Kelly Cardin. If someone could take care of Mr. Nichols, that would be great. And then before we get moving on here, I see the good doctor is here. Before we get to the legislative committee proposal, I wasn't able to open the link. It popped up weird for me when you sent that email. Would you mind sharing that with the secretary? If you could just email secretary@ca.lp.org. When we get to the legislative committee proposals, it'll be easier for him to just pop it up on the screen and do a screen share. And actually, before I forget, I'll go ahead and make him co-host now so he can do that. Perfect. All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the adoption of the agenda. Everyone saw the latest version. I just removed something and extended some time. Is nothing noteworthy really. I would now, assuming that no one wants to add anything to the agenda or remove anything, we'll go ahead and I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move we adopt the agenda.
All right, Mr. Strachan moves to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hallisey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to the adoption of the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Let the minutes show that Mr. Brown has joined us at 7:07 p.m.
Mhm.
All right. Sorry, give me just a minute here. Okay. Next, we'll move on to public comment. So I do see here that we, of course, have an elected official in Mr. Bob Carwin seeking an endorsement for his re-election. Well, hopefully will be his re-election. He's welcome to speak. We also have Mr. Tom. Everyone will get a chance to speak during the designated agenda time. So if you want to say something during public comment, you're welcome to. If not, you can wait until the agenda item, or if anyone has anything in particular that they'd like to comment on, they're welcome to do so now. Go ahead and just either raise your hand, use the emoji, or speak up. So it's small enough room. And Mr. Kelly Cardin joined us at 7:08. He will be seated regardless, because I believe Mr. Nichols is still absent. So. All right, going once, going twice. No public comment. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is the approval of the July 15th, 2024 Executive Committee meeting minutes. There was just one minor change that the secretary sent out, and it was my fault. the agenda had some wrong dates on there that were pointed out. So I resent him a copy of the agenda so that he could put it in the minutes correctly. Assuming that there is no objection or anyone saw anything that was untoward or wrong, I would now entertain a motion to adopt or to approve those meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes.
All right, Mr. Dean moves to approve the July 15, 2024 XCOM meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hallisey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to the approval of those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. All right. First real item on the agenda, we have the appointment of the Central Area Coordinator, Mr. Kyle Tom. So as most of you know, Mr. Butts has, well, one, he's retaken a position with the LNC as a contractor to help with fundraising. And also he is currently out of state and will probably be for the foreseeable future. So we do need this role filled. There were a few names that were floated around. Mr. Kyle Tom was gracious enough to throw his hat in the ring for this. And I guess we will go ahead and start before we make any sort of motions or anything. I see that Mr. Tom is on the call. Assuming that there's no objection, if you would like to speak a little bit about why he's looking to join the executive committee in this capacity, that would be welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been looking to get involved with the state party more so than I had ever been before. I was made aware that Mr. Butts was stepping out of the position, and I just want to learn everything I can, meet as many people as I can, and try and do everything that I can to grow this central area.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Tom. So we'll do it this way. If someone would like to move to appoint Mr. Tom, we can then add a second to it. And then during the discussion portion, if anyone has any specific questions that they'd like to ask him or anything that they'd like to hear from him, we can do it then. Then we'll move on. So that'll be the discussion portion. Then we'll move to a vote. So let's go ahead and do it that way. So now I will entertain, I guess, we'll say opening nominations for the Central Area Coordinator. And there is one nominee. There could be more. Who knows? If I don't know of anybody, it's always nice to have a last minute surprise. What's life without a little bit of drama, especially while the DNC convention is happening. But I will now open nominations for the Central Area Coordinator.
I nominate Kyle Tom for Central Area Coordinator.
All right, Mr. Byrd nominates Kyle Tom for Central Area Coordinator. Mr. Tom, do you accept your nomination?
I do, I accept.
Excellent. Are there any other nominations? Going once, going twice. All right, nominations are now closed. So if anyone has anything specific that they'd like to ask Mr. Tom, I'm assuming he'll make himself available for any sort of questions. This appointment would take in effect immediately. So just so that everyone's aware, he would be seated as soon as this is done. But if anyone has any questions for Mr. Kyle Tom at this time, please go ahead. Any executive committee member, I should say. Really? He won you over with this speech?
I have a quick question just by way of background and knowing what's up. This is I'm Lauren Dean. I'm Lauren Dean, Kyle. Good evening. I'm the Southern Area Coordinator.
Hi, Lauren.
Can you tell us what you do for a living? Give us a little background on you.
Oh man, I'm working for the machine, Lauren. I actually work for the county government in Calaveras with what's called Adult Protective Services. Which really working there is what drove me to join the Mises Caucus and become an anarchist. So I'm trying to find my way out. But in theory, what we do is receive calls from the community of allegations of abuse. And it's my job to see if the allegations are true and if, resources, family, or any other sort of resource can assist in the matter. Yeah, and in a nutshell, it is what I do.
And how long have you lived in Calaveras County?
Calaveras, yeah.
How long have you lived out there?
I lived here till I was 21. Then I moved back east to Pennsylvania for 9 years, and I came back here in 2018. So, what is that? Basically 27 years of my life at this point.
Well, I can certainly identify with that. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so Mr. Nichols has joined us at 7:14 p.m. The alternates are still seated, I believe. Let me just double check here. No, actually, everyone else is here, right? So, okay, so Mr. Cardin will remain seated. Mr. Apostolopoulos will move up to first at-large alternate in the event that someone has to drop off.
Yes, I believe
Mr.
Mr. Stump is the only person who's not here.
Okay, yeah, it's just Ms. Stump right now, right? Yeah, okay. So alternates, again, just as a reminder, do not sub in for area coordinators or officers, just at-larges. Mr. Strachan, go ahead.
Yeah, just to remind us all, I'd like to take any moment to remind us that Ventura County is actually part of the Central Region. And I just wanted to remind Mr. Tom of that. And, you know, if he is appointed, I hope we'll see him in Ventura County at some point.
I'd love to go. I've never been.
I don't know if you're missing out, but I'll let Mr. Strachan decide. Just kidding, of course. Lots of love for Ventura County. We have a lot of great libertarians there. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Tom? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. We'll do it the easy way, I suppose. Is there any objection to the appointment of Kyle Tom as the new Central Area Coordinator, aka CAC? Hearing none. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Tom. Welcome to the Executive Committee for the Libertarian Party of California. He will be seated at 7:15 p.m. All right. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, candidate endorsements. So we have 3 candidates here that have graciously joined us here for to speak a little bit about what they're doing, what they're running for, and they are seeking the Libertarian Party of California Executive Committee's endorsement for the upcoming cycle. We're going to do this a little bit out of order. Mr. Carwin was the first one here. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is not cool, as the old saying goes, paraphrased, of course. So we will go ahead and go with Mr. Carwin, then Mr. Cruz, then Mr. Kelly Cardin, because he has to be here for the entire meeting anyway, so he'll go last. Not a best for last situation. In this case, it's probably best for first. So Mr. Carwin, if there's no objection from anyone on the executive committee, love to hear a little bit about you, what you're doing, and field any questions that the executive committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Hope everybody can hear me just fine. My name is Bob Carwin. I live in the city of Menifee, which, for those who don't know, is just north of San Diego, just north of Temecula. That's our nearest big city that everybody knows about, the burgeoning wine country out there. I am, by profession, an attorney. I do personal injury attorney work. I went to University of San Diego. I grew up originally in Massachusetts. I went to Boston College. I've been here with my own law office in the city of Menifee since 2006. Been a long time. I have 2 kids. Both are now, one graduated from college last year. The other one's going into her senior year. Been married for 25 years. I've been a libertarian since, let's see, 1998 is when I switched from being a Republican to a libertarian. I was working for a law firm in Glendale, California. They actually approached me to run for city council up there, and I wasn't ready to run for office yet at that point. My first real waist-deep involvement in the Libertarian Party was in 2008 when Obama and McCain were running. I was contacted on behalf of the Barr campaign to file an injunction against the Baptist church that was doing a candidate forum with Obama and McCain and had excluded Bill Barr from that event. They contacted me. We put together an injunction to the federal court. We actually had a hearing in the federal court in Santa Ana on a Friday evening at like 6 p.m. They kept the court open late for us because the thing was the next day. And I actually got to go on the record in federal court and try to stop a presidential debate. And we got very, very close. I think the judge agreed with our assertion on the elections law that was violated, but said it was just too late. They contacted me too late in the game. The judge said, I can't stop this thing. It's tomorrow. Too much has gone in. Perhaps if we'd gotten in a month earlier, we could have stopped it and gotten Bill Barr on the dais. And I've just been hooked ever since. In 2015, I was appointed to our planning commission. So I've been involved in city planning, that kind of thing. And in 2020, I was elected to the city council. There was an open seat. I ran for it and I was elected. Our city has 120,000 people now. My district, District 1, has 25,000 residents. And I think currently that makes me like the #2 largest constituency of any elected libertarian in the United States, as a matter of fact. The word is getting out there. And so I got to campaign during COVID. My seat, we have in Menifee term limits. So I'm up for my second 4-year term. We have 2 4-year terms as our limit. And we've done some great things. Libertarian things that I've done while I've been in there. Our police department tried to institute a fine against people if they had an alarm go off in their house and the police had to respond, then it was a false alarm. I got that swatted away. It was a dummy tax and it was just an overstepping of bounds by the police department, and it has not come back. So we protected our citizens from basically being fined for having their own safety mechanisms in the house, which I thought was a tremendous victory. So looking out for people's liberties to do as they please and keep the government out of people's way has been my mantra. And we are a city manager form of government, which means our mayor doesn't run the city manager does. So as a city council, my job is to keep him in check and make sure that people don't get piled with taxes, fines, things like that. I want to keep doing that work for another term. And I would just, I'm the only libertarian candidate running. My opposition, I have one candidate running against me who is an ultra hard right MAGA Republican, which in Menifee actually carries some weight, but people here were balanced enough that my libertarian tendencies garner a lot of support around here. We've converted a lot of people to libertarianism because of my exposure out here and the amount of people that respect me and have voted for me. And I'd like to continue doing that work. And I'd love to be able to tell people I have the official endorsement of the party. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carwin. I have one, I believe I know the answer to, but I would like to ask it anyway, but I will let any executive committee member that wishes to ask any questions, now would be the time. Let you guys take first crack at it.
This is Lauren Dean, Southern Area Coordinator. I don't have a question for Bob. I actually am familiar with Bob. I've been to events with Bob. I've heard Bob speak. I've seen how Bob operates in the community. I'm the chairman of Riverside County. We've hung out just a little bit. And I think that Bob is doing exactly what modern libertarians need to do. He's gotten into the machinery locally, and he's putting libertarian ideas into principled practice locally, right in front of people so they can see that freedom works. So I'm all in for Bob. So when the time comes, I will totally move that we endorse him, but I'm not going to do that yet so that the floor stays open for questions.
And I'll just respond to Lauren by saying, and thanks for bringing that up. I do attend California Libertarian conventions. I met the chair at the last one, as a matter of fact. I do attend Libertarian club meetings when I have the opportunity. I'm not a libertarian in name only. I've been one for a long time. I'm an organic libertarian candidate. I wasn't somebody who got elected and then switched parties. I got elected as a libertarian, and I'm still one, and I walk the walk.
Very cool. Yeah, it was such a pleasure to meet you at convention. It was very nice to see you. I'd heard the great things, but I'd never had a chance to meet you in person until our convention, so it was a treat for me. My question would be, and of course, if anyone else has additional ones after this, you're seeking re-election. How long have you been on the city council again? I believe I know the answer to this, just for the record here, so that for people that might be unfamiliar.
Yes, it's a 4-year term. My city council seat is on the same election cycle as the U.S. president. So in 2020 is when I was elected, and this year in 2024, I'm up for re-election. So it's a 4-year term, and I'm coming to the end of my first 4-year term.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from Mr. Carwin? I think he did a really good job explaining where he's at and what he's done. Mr. Strachan, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Carwin. Thank you. I just wondered, you said that you ran in 2020, so you'd run in the middle of COVID. I mean, how did COVID issues play into your race?
It was an utter nightmare trying to campaign during COVID because in our city in particular, we have Sun City in Menifee, which is the first Del Webb 55 plus community in the US. There are 5 sprinkled around the Southwest, but we have the very first one built in 1963. Those people did not want to answer the door for anybody during COVID. They were scared to death. So I had to basically run in a vacuum through social media and mailers and phone calls, things like that. And then I got to meet all of the constituents as masks kind of went away after that. So it was a major burden on the campaign. But thankfully, I did have an opponent in that election as well. So, and that was a Republican endorsed candidate that I was able to defeat. And what was fun is every single door that I went to, first question, because it's a nonpartisan race in the city of Menifee. First question, are you Republican or Democrat? And I would go, well, actually neither. And everybody you'd see them look confused. What do you mean? There's another thing? And I would explain it to them. And then everybody else kind of went, what kind of sounds like me? Like, yeah, you're learning. I could see it on your face.
So look at that. The power of even during the height of COVID, not campaigning from your basement, it works. Although you know, it worked for our president, so really can't say too much about that apparently. Thank you so much. Any other questions for Mr. Carwin?
I don't have a question, but I would like to back up something Mr. Carwin said, which is he's not in fact a libertarian in name only, and has in fact gone to meetings. I know this because the first ever libertarian meeting that I went to was the Riverside County Annual Convention. I want to say in 2022. He was one of the first people I met. He talked libertarian theory with me and talked specifically about the Sun City that he runs, or rather is a council member of. And he was incredible to me. Like I said, talks theory. And so I just wanted to back him up on that. And then I do have a question after that, because I think very highly of Mr. Carwin. So, Mr. Carwin, I don't think we got to talk about this, and I don't think you'll remember me. My name's Kirk. If you recall, I would be very impressed. And what was your feeling on the government's response? Maybe not federally, because I have no control of that, but particularly in the city of Menifee regarding mask mandates, any potential vaccine mandates that would have or maybe were imposed. I'm not for the.
Well, throughout the city of Menifee, we basically told the governor to suck it, and they left us alone. You know, we had the benefit of our Riverside County sheriff being Chad Bianco, who was no fan of the governor and was not in a race to support those mandates. And Mike Hestron is our district attorney. He also did not want to prosecute anybody for violating the mandates. So our businesses continued to run. In fact, we had a restaurant owner, Chef Rosie O'Connor, who had a Mexican restaurant, who did not close and did not impose mask mandates. She decided to just stay open. And most of our businesses did. Our police department did not enforce it. And we basically just wrote it out. There were a couple of businesses that had to, because they're run by state licensed barbershops, things like that, that have state licensing. But I'm sitting here in my office, which is in Menifee, and we did not mask in my office. We did not ask anybody else. I would ask people if they wanted me to, as a courtesy to other people, but I did not ask my clients to mask. And we continued to operate as much as we could in the face of the order.
Very cool. Very nice. The Central Valley is or even actually anywhere outside of the Bay Area is a different beast. I try to do a coalition of businesses that were willing to stand out. Very few were willing to do it. It was a lot harder here. Police will let your car get vandalized and your house get broken into, but they really weren't lackadaisical when it came to mask mandates and other nonsense. So welcome to the Bay Area. Any other questions for Mr. Carwin?
And thank you
All
for
right.
words. I do remember talking to you, Kurt.
There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say Kirk isn't. It's not like a Steve or a John. You remember that name, or a Lauren for that matter.
Well, you never know. I'm not so narcissistic as to think that people remember little.
Fair enough, Mr. Sullivan. All right. Well, Mr. Dean, if you'd like to do the honors, now would be the time.
All right, I move that we endorse Robert Carwin in his city council race in the city of Menifee.
Fantastic. So we have a motion to endorse Mr. Bob Carwin for Menifee City Council. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hallisey. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, let's do a roll call vote because this does require 2/3 whenever the secretary is ready, and we'll do that for the rest of the endorsements, just for the record.
Okay. All right, we'll begin with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Ms. Stump is not here. Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Hartwig,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan. Mr. Strachan, are you muted?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chair, the vote is 10 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Okay. Wait, is that Mr. Carden vote?
No, I don't believe he's seated because the only who is absent is Ms. Stump.
Oh, so we do have one at-large vacancy. So he remained seated when he came. So Mr. Apostolopoulos got moved down to alternate.
Okay, then yeah, sorry. Then Mr. Carden, could I get your vote?
Aye.
Okay, the vote is then 11 to 0 to 0 to 0.
All right, the chair will vote aye to make it unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Carwin. Thank you so much for joining us and making the time. You're of course welcome to stay for as long as you wish, but given that you're in your office, you're burning the proverbial midnight oil as a lawyer, so feel free to stay as long as you wish. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And if you could be so kind, I think we already have you're already on the website. I just have to move you to endorse candidates, but if there's anything that you'd like to add to your bio, the candidate website section will be updated later this week. I'll probably do it on my way to Miami for the LNC meeting. So if you'd like to email that to Chair, an updated headshot, or we can use the one that we already have. Anything that you'd like updated, just let me know. Feel free to email it to me and I can go ahead and make those changes.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. I won't let you down.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carwin.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have Mr. Christian Cruz running for Mendota City Council. So Mr. Cruz was able to join us. I don't know about his availability for being able to speak. I know he's working and actually in the middle of something else right now that he's welcome to speak to if he'd like. But assuming that there's no objection, Mr. Christian Cruz, you have the floor.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I'm still working in San Luis Obispo County. I'm still able to, do my military career type stuff because I work for the state, not for the feds. So I am running for city council in Mendota. A lot of the pressing issues are some of the standard, fix the roads, help the homeless. There is also some police accountability stuff, which I kind of see as a theme going around. So I'm hoping to help my neighbors out with that as well. Right now, I just got out of some 20-day orders, so I'm gonna be heading back in a few days. I'm gonna start doing more events. Going to holding some coffee meetups and inviting some Bitcoin people to go spend some money in the town and kind of get my name out there. And yeah, just I remember being a no party preference, registered voter. I did eventually go libertarian, and I will remain libertarian in every future endeavor. So that's why I'm here. So, any questions?
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. I had the pleasure of meeting him for the first time at the 50th anniversary fundraiser that we did. It was following an executive committee meeting in Fresno. So that was fun to meet him, and he's been very involved ever since. If anyone has any questions or a comment from the chair of Fresno County, I know Mr. Hartwig is here, obviously on the executive committee. If anyone has any questions or comments about Mr. Cruz, now would be the time.
I have a question for you, Mr. Cruz. This is Mr. Dean again. Hey, you talked about police accountability. Tell me what's at the top of your list there. What's the thing that jumps into your mind about police accountability that you want to pursue?
So some of the stuff is already happening. So we're gonna get body cams if we don't have them already very soon. So that was already done without me. One of the things though that I've been doing for myself, my family, but then also some of my neighbors is things that have happened, in the past that still haven't been properly addressed. For example, I was volunteering with someone from the school board, and he had a excessive force issue where, for whatever reason they were searching him, and he said, I have a bad shoulder, like go easy on that shoulder. And instead they, started, pressing on that shoulder more, right? And so he's still, complaining about that, and he works for a union, and he's saying like, oh, I'm going to get the union involved and this and that. And what I've told him is there's already a political infrastructure to help address that. So I don't know if anybody here has heard of SB2. I don't know if it was from 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. But if you're the victim of some sort of police misconduct, you can actually push for up to $25,000 in compensation for that. So I'm going to be helping him deal with that, and anybody else who has an issue. Because for me, it's not just important to fix things going on towards the future, but also to make sure anybody who has issues that were in the past, especially the near past, to get that resolved as well. So the again, the political apparatus is already there. I just have to help people deal with it, and then just kind of keep doing the same old libertarian thing. If there's a tyrant trying to do something with the local PD, it's going to be my job to try to stop that.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. And just to just make sure everyone's on the same page. So again, in case I didn't say it earlier, I just want to restate, he is running for Mendota City Council. And then I'll just add here, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that all the filing fees have been paid. Everything has been taken care of as far as this run is concerned. He did come and join a candidate support committee meeting to speak to his endorsement and particulars surrounding his run and how the committee could be of assistance and all of that. So the candidate support committee is very well aware of Mr. Cruz. So if they're not asking any specific questions, I'm of course chair of that committee, then just everyone knows that's why. So he had the opportunity to join us, I believe it was a couple weeks ago. Any other questions for Mr. Cruz? Mr. Hartwig. Let's go Mr. Hartwig and then Mr. Sullivan.
No questions. I just wanted to speak to Mr. Cruz really quickly as you offered. Mr. Cruz is an active member of our Fresno County affiliate. He's been planning this run for a while. I think he has some very good instincts when it comes to building political connections in particular. He's made connections out of current members of the Mendota City Council, as well as I know at least one assembly candidate. And I think that he has a very good shot of pulling this off and being our first Fresno County elected libertarian.
Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Hartwig. I don't doubt it. Mr. Cruz, for those of you that haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, is a very personable guy. So I'm quite certain that he's made friends of all persuasions while he's been contemplating this run, which he's been thinking about for quite some time. Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, Mr. Cruz, hi. I am not familiar with you, unfortunately. I would like to become familiar with you at some point. But while not, maybe just give me a general idea that for lack of a better question or way to phrase this, I guess, what kind of libertarian are you? A la A24 Civil War movie. Are you in like the Ron Paul strain? Are you a Mises Caucus member? Are you maybe a Prague? Just give me that kind of like a general idea, if you will.
I mean, I did support Ron Paul, like in high school. I graduated in 2012, and when they split the room up for, our own little primaries, I wanted to have options instead of just going for Obama. And so I did like Ron Paul. I never got the chance to actually vote for him, but I did like him. When it comes to I don't know, flavors of libertarianism, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what I would be called. I would say I'm for freedom, for liberty. The only way you would get me to, I guess, be against that or vote against that is something kind of like the Singapore stance on economics, right, where they force people to save for mortgage, retirement, and what's the other one? Medical expenses. You could argue that you have the right to be financially irresponsible. However, I think what people who want to copy Singapore would say is, well, when you let people be financially irresponsible, then they start voting for all these other things, like Social Security and what have you, or rent control, things like that. And so it's sort of like a lesser evil type of thing. Like, all right, we'll just kind of force everybody to save up their own money. So unless you make an argument like that, I'm gonna be full on liberty.
Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Just want to point out something really funny before I'll give the same courtesy to Mr. Hartwig that I gave to Mr. Dean, the chair, if he wants to make that motion. Just really funny. I have two different alerts from two different things going on at the DNC convention right now. And one is watch live Hillary Clinton, who lost the White House to Trump in 2016, speak at DNC. And the other one was former Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton speaks to DNC. I think you guys can guess which outlet did which. I just thought it was funny. It's always funny to get alerts from all the different outlets. Anyway, any other questions or comments regarding Mr. Cruz's endorsement before Mr. Hartwig does the honors? Assuming he wants to. I don't want to volunteer you, but I'm kind of volunteering you.
It would be my pleasure. There are no.
Well, Mr. Hartwig, whenever you're ready.
I move to endorse Christian Cruz for Mendota City Council.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dean. All right. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready.
Well, then, all right, we'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
Okay, I'll vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd, Mr. Byrd,
Might be having technical difficulties.
okay, I'll come back to him. Mr. Hartwig
Yes.
and Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan, Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
and Mr. Cardin.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Byrd. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the vote is 11-0-0-0.
So I thought for a minute I was really bad at math, and then I realized what happened, and I totally missed it for the last one. But we can correct a wrong that we can correct a wrong now. So Mr. Tom is now seated as the new Central Area Coordinator. So we'll have to throw him in the rotation. That was my fault for maybe I forgot to say that he was seated, but I missed it too. We could record his first vote now. Now that he is part of the executive committee. So we'll let him go, and then I'll close this out here.
Okay, sure. Okay, Mr. Tom, can you give me your vote?
Aye, yes.
Okay. Mr. Malagon, the vote is now 12-0-0-0.
I was like wondering why that was off at the beginning. The chair will vote aye to make it unanimous. The motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Cruz. You are endorsed by the Libertarian Party of California Executive Committee. I do have some of the stuff to get you going on the website, and we'll get all of that taken care of within the next few days here. I'll probably take care of it, as I said earlier, on my way to Miami for the LNC meeting. And I will be in constant communication with you and with Mr. Hartwig to get some of the other stuff regarding your campaign underway. But thank you so much for taking the time. Of course, you're welcome to stay for as long as you wish, but I'm sure that you have things to do. But thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions.
Thank you too.
All right, moving on to the last endorsement of the evening. We are saving last and least, Mr. Kelly Cardin. Mr. Cardin, you have the floor whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm making fried chicken, so I had to step away from the stove real quick. So,
I'll nominate you on fried chicken alone.
yes. So, guys, my name's Kelly Cardin. I'm running for the Kern County Board of Supervisors. I'm going to move because this light's right behind my head.
Thank you for dressing up for us, by the way. It's always appreciated.
All right. So, I'm running for the Kern County Board of Supervisors. It's a special election. I ran for this seat in 2022. I came in second place out of 3. I got 22% of the vote. There was something crazy happened, national news. The guy who beat me ended up having to resign after being in hiding, after getting stabbed by his son in April. It's resulted in a madhouse. There's 6 people running for this race. I'm the only current elected official. I am on my town's council. That helps a lot. I have, in the last week and a half, I've already made, I think it's 8 public appearances. I've spoken at 4 different boards. I've met with 2 or 3 different owner groups. I got invited to a birthday party by one of them. It was pretty cool. I'm just working it. We have a lot of the same issues. All 6 candidates are already talking about how my area isn't represented, but I'm the only one who actually knows how to fix that. So I'm running on the idea that we're going to control the committee appointments and the board and commission seats in the area, and put people that live in unincorporated areas on those seats so that they can feel as if they're represented. I'm almost done building out my calendar. Before November 5th, I will have made about 75 public appearances between now and then. So I'm really committing to doing multiple a day, 4 or 5 days a week. We're going to be doing car shows, fairs, festivals, and everything else. Tomorrow I'm speaking at the Mojave Area Spaceport. I'm getting a tour and then meeting the board of directors there. And then I'm getting a tour at the prison next week and meeting with the president of the prisons union. He's a guy I went to high school with. I'm really gonna go for it this time. I think I have a really good chance to win. Somebody is gonna win with a plurality. Nobody is more than likely gonna get the majority of the votes. So considering where I am in nonpartisan race, I have a lot of name recognition, especially in the unincorporated parts of the county, which is where I'm focusing. It's my home part of the county, and I'm the only one from those parts. Coincidentally, if you ask anybody anywhere across my district, whether it's in Fraser Park on the 5 or in the desert on the 58 on the way to Barstow, they all say that the county only cares about Bakersfield and Tehachapi. And 5 of the 6 candidates running are from Bakersfield and Tehachapi. So I think it's going to really work out in my favor. They're already eating up each other's votes. They're all at the same events. And they're all going to the same Republican-only events, whereas I'm speaking directly to townspeople and constituents. Today we were in Boron. I spoke to 14 business owners. They're asking for signs and banners there. And tomorrow we're going to Mojave doing the same thing. And then next week I'll be in Taft. So every day I'm working. October 7th, I have a public debate at Taft College. If anyone's available to come, it would be huge. It's like a 90-minute meet and greet period, then a 90-minute debate. And then I'll probably get find a place to eat dinner afterwards. We're going to stay there. It's 2 hours from my house. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cardin. Any questions for our esteemed colleague? Well, a work proximity associate.
That's a lot, man, considering you got me kicked out of a restaurant during the pandemic.
That's what I do. All right. Any questions for Mr. Cardin? All right. Well, I think this one kind of goes. This one was probably the easiest of the three. That's why we saved it toward the end. Also, he has to be here for the rest of the meeting, whether he's making fried chicken or not. So, it just seemed like the right thing to do. At this point, we will now entertain. Assuming that there's nothing else, whoever wants to do the honors is welcome to.
I absolutely move that we endorse Kelly Cardin for his county supervisor run.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Dean to endorse Mr. Cardin for his Kern County Supervisor District 2 run. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Nichols. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to reiterate that all three candidates that we've talked to tonight are doing what needs to be done. This is the walk that we all need to be walking. It's all about getting into your communities and talking to the people in your communities. This is where the action is. So I'm all in.
Agreed. All right. We will go ahead and move to a vote whenever the secretary is ready.
Then we'll begin with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Halsey,
Aye.
Mr. Tom. Is it Tom? Is that right? Or Thom?
Oh, he's having technical difficulties. He'll figure it out.
Okay.
Wait, where is he? He's unmuting now, I think.
I'm
Sorry.
muted. That's the problem there. It is Tom, two first names, unfortunately, and I vote yes.
I have two first names too. I can sympathize. Mr. Dean.
As the third with two first names, I also vote yes.
And Mr. Brown.
As someone with two last names, I'll vote yes.
We've got some serious diversity here on the executive committee.
We do. We're a very diverse group.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Mr. Hartwig.
Yes.
Mr. Nichols.
Aye.
Mr. Strachan.
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
And Mr. Cardin.
I abstain.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 11-0 to 1-0.
I will remind Mr. Cardin before I vote that it would be good to be able to say unanimous. You don't have to take the high road here. You are allowed to vote for yourself. I don't think you'd abstain from voting for yourself if you were in your county, so which you are. So before I vote and close this out, would you like to change your vote?
Yeah, I'll vote yes then.
Okay, so noted.
All right.
Then we'll move on to here.
Well, as one of the only few people apparently who has a normal name, first and last, I will close it out by voting aye. The motion passes unanimously. All right, congratulations, Mr. Cardin. Keep doing this stuff. Okay, am I really bad at? I just got a message. Hold on, we might. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 13, 14. Okay, something was just brought to my attention by the vice chair. While we're fixing all this, might as well get it all out of the way now. It has just come to my attention that we actually do, I was initially correct and then I backtracked and then now I'm being taken back again. We actually do have 2 at-large vacancies at the moment. So Mr. Apostolopoulos is a seated member. So let's go ahead and I guess reseat him at 752, and we'll go ahead and we'll let him vote on this one as well before we move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, very well. Okay, Mr. Apostolopoulos, we'll take your vote now on endorsing Kelly Cardin for Kern County Board of Supervisors.
Oh, I guess I'll say yes.
So this is actually kind of funny because then we have 12, 13, and 14, and people are just going to wonder if they're actually anyone that wants to go through the minutes of the meeting and realize that it's just going to look like it showed up at different times or just stepped away. So we'll let people wonder. Conspiracies will we'll overflow it and we'll let that be. All right, cool. So now I think all of our math is correct. Everything is good. We should just, we'll fix that at the September meeting. You guys are just going to be at-larges. We don't need alternates. That kind of proves my point from convention. Makes us all unnecessarily difficult, and math is hard. All right. So the vice chair is out of order. I'm calling him back to order. I can read chats, you know. Anyway. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. This one's really important. I've been looking forward to this one. The Legislative Committee, which was something that I brought back last year, I believe, is doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is fantastic. And it is chaired by the great Dr. Mary Beth Yuskavich, who will now, they had kind of an emergency session, I believe, the other night, so they could go over the proposition recommendations that we could officially adopt and put on the website. A lot of people email and ask us what our official position is. I've had to tell them that, damn it, Jonathan Jacobs for the twisting of the knife. All right, so I've messed up a lot tonight. I'm very tired. And also the DNC convention, being as exciting as it is taking up all my attention, you know, these days. So, anyway, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We haven't had a chance to I haven't had a chance to reply to any of the people asking what our official positions are on certain things. So I just have to say, this is what I believe we will go with, or this is my personal opinion, because it is not an officially adopted proposition position for the party, from the party. So with all that being said, Dr. Yuskavich, you have the floor. If I believe the secretary might want to do a screen share if the whole email thing worked out so people can see it on the screen. Then she can go through and just follow along. So what we'll do is we'll do this one at a time. Unless the good doctor wants to do it differently, we'll do it one at a time. If anyone has questions regarding the recommendations before, and then we'll do them, I guess we'll probably do them one by one. How many propositions are there? I didn't get a chance to see the document beforehand.
There are 10, I believe.
10. Okay, what we'll probably do is we'll do a roll call at the end, unless we'll kind of we'll gauge the temperature of the room after each one. If anyone is vehemently opposed, then we'll do a roll call for that specific one. Otherwise, we'll just adopt them all in one full slate at the end to not have the secretary hate me.
Oh, sorry. I think there's only 2 that need to be really kind of challenged or discussed. I think the rest of it will go pretty smoothly.
Okay, fair enough. So whenever the secretary's ready, feel free to do a screen share, and we'll take a look at what we have going on here.
Oh, great. Good. Okay, the only thing is, the person who typed this up, I will be honest, did not write the actual name of the proposition. I think we should change that when we do put it on the website.
Okay, we can do that, Rich. That's just a cosmetic change, so that's not an issue.
So should I start Proposition 2? Obviously a bond measure for building infrastructure, schools, $10 billion. Needless to say, that would be a no vote on the Libertarian side. And we did write a little statement next to it that the Libertarian Party opposes using taxpayer dollars to fund large-scale government projects like school construction. There are concerns that may misallocate funds, leading to inefficiencies, lack of accountability. It can go on, but I think that's a good summary for a $10 billion bond fund. And, you know, FYI, every local school district around here has another several $1 million bond fund going at the same time. So with that said, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Do you want to, you said you don't want to vote on each one?
We won't do each one. I'll just, if anyone has any objections or questions about this one, this one's very straightforward. And I'll just say really quickly that I do like that. I think this is I think what has been done in the past, sometimes it's either, this is like the perfect medium. So in the past, I believe what I've seen, not just on our state website, but on others, it's just proposition this, it's yes or no without an explanation, or it's yes or no with like a treatise that that no one's going to read. And they're not going to really be moved by either way. So I think this is kind of and it just gets people to at least understand the very basic position. If they have follow-up questions, they can always email, and they will if they really do want to do it. So anyway, is there any questions on Prop 2, or is that pretty self-explanatory to everybody? No one here loves bonds? Not even James Bonds?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next Proposition 32. This is to raise the minimum wage in $18 an hour. And of course, the Libertarian position is no. And I don't want to reread it if you all want to just read that, but obviously the concern is pushing down, pushing up wages, mandating means less jobs and businesses to close, harming the economy. Less jobs for the people who they're trying to help, basically. But I think that summarizes it. Any
Yeah,
questions?
very good. Without having to go into take human action, that's a good that's a good summary. Yeah. Anybody have any objection to this one? Cool.
Okay. Prop 33, allowing local governments to impose rent controls. When you read this proposition, it's confusing. We had to go over it a couple times because it's one of those where a no vote means to continue the, and this is where I wish I had the title of the bill, because it's actually a law that's already in place. And I wish I didn't pull that up. I'm sorry. But anyway, they're trying to override the law that's in place. And this was the one that they're sending out a lot of flyers on this one. Basically, if you vote no, you keep the law in place that does not regulate rental prices. In other words, so by voting no, you're keeping them from imposing rent controls. Which
Yeah, this is the only one I've seen ads for so far.
Yeah.
I think I've seen at least one a day. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously the realtors are way funding this one, obviously. They don't, and landlords as well.
Right.
Which brings me to third, anybody have any questions on that one? Which interesting, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, that's good. Just, yeah, go. You're plugging along here. These are very uncontroversial libertarian positions.
Yeah, this is the one where we get to, speaking of rent controls, actually, this was the most difficult one. And this is not correct. I don't know why this is in here because I thought we voted yes or undecided. Okay, this is an old proposition that was put in there. We got to change this one. So this was reiterated last week when we went over it again, and I guess that wasn't correct at I thought this was a edited one. So the Proposition 34 is an interesting proposition. I don't know if anybody's read it. Basically, it's the yes are being funded by the California Apartment Association and several other separate health organizations, and the no is basically behind it is the Weinstein AIDS Foundation Health Foundation, AHF. And basically, I didn't know this. I'm a physician. I don't actually participate in Medi-Cal. I don't know if anybody knows this or wants to know this, but Medi-Cal back under Newsom's reign, the drug programs went from managed care to fee-for-service. And what they had placed in place apparently is that anybody who could buy these drugs for discount, such as the AIDS drugs, and sell them for a profit and keep the profit as long as it goes into certain health care constituencies. However, this AIDS Health Foundation is run by one person, Weinstein, who is opening up apartment buildings and having funding rent control bills. He's probably far behind Proposition 33. And so he's trying to continue using the funds for these certain things like real estate, so forth and so on. The people who are for the yes are trying to overturn this and make 98% of the funding. I hope I'm right on this. I'm sorry.
Do we want to maybe punt this one to a different one just in case?
Yeah, well, anyway, 98% of the funding, the profits should be going towards direct healthcare. So to me, when I brought this up with the rest of the committee, it was definitely either a no, undecided, or a yes, not a no. So that, I don't know where that got in there. Maybe the initial reading of it was wrong. So I would definitely want to take that out. And then, but I guess the question is, some people had a problem with the fact that it sounds like when this goes through, it's already going to be going to a lawsuit and probably be overturned. Because they brought it to a judge who allowed it to go back on the ballot. But it sounds like there's some type of law that says if you say that it's only picking out one organization, it's not legal for a proposition to pick on one organization. And they're saying that's their organization. So I think that's why, and Craig is on our committee, so maybe he can share. But that's kind of where some people were.
My thinking was that it was it's probably so narrowly drawn as to target maybe just one provider, which is the Weinstein AIDS Foundation. I'm personally not sure that's a proper, without taking a position on the merits, I'm not sure this is a proper use of the initiative process at all.
Right. So I don't know if undecided, I definitely would not recommend no, even though it says that there. So that's a mistake. I think it was a mistake on the first reading. So yeah, I think
we would do
undecided it would be our best approach as far as our committee, but I leave it out there if anybody has any input other than me.
So what we would do for something like this, I mean, just based on your, and I just did a quick search on it. I mean, a very cursory reading, and based on what you said, I think that the correct position, given the nuance here, would be to just, so it's either yes, no, or no opinion. So I think they would just be like no opinion on this particular thing. I think that would be the way to go.
Okay.
And then we could give the rationale. So you would just change the rationale as to why it would be no opinion.
We'll rewrite that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we could put, what we could do is, assuming, does everyone understand what the committee chair said and regarding Proposition 34 and why it would be no decision?
While I feel like I understand, I also feel like if it's that complicated, then the default should probably just be no. Like, if you can't explain what it does, or it's gonna be some weird, silly thing, then just don't do it. But that's just me being a contrarian, maybe.
Don't do it as in don't
vote for it. If you don't understand what you're voting for, don't vote for it.
Well, that would be no opinion.
Well, right, that would be no opinion, so that people would just leave that blank. So like but I would say that there should be a rationale as to why no opinion. So what we could do is we're not voting on the rationale for it. It would just be what our positions are here. It's good to have the rationale. So what we could do, if everyone is okay with it, the libertarian position here would be no position. And then, or the Libertarian Party of California position is no position, and then the rationale could come after the fact, but that doesn't stop us from voting on it and adopting it as no position, if that makes sense.
Okay, I gotcha.
I think the problem is when you vote no, you're basically saying that you like that this Weinstein group is taking money for profits from our taxpayer dollars, which is Medi-Cal, and putting it towards his apartment buildings, and I don't like that.
There was one in 2022 that was similar to, not this specific topic, but something like this, where a no vote was just as consequential as a yes vote, and it wasn't as cut and dry, and one could be perceived as exactly what you said, a favoritism toward a particular position or whatever it was. And I don't think it was just the abortion one. I think there was one more, if memory serves. But I would be okay with changing this one to no, assuming that there's no objection. We would change this one to no position, and then the rationale could come after the fact.
Right. Okay, Prop 35 is about permanent tax being placed on managed healthcare. I guess they're running out of their taxation on both private and Medi-Cal managed care as of 2026, and they're asking for an unlimited amount of time. So we are voting no on that. I just think it's just disgraceful that they're even putting a tax on a private HMO company. How dare they, but okay. Okay. So with that said, does anybody question that? There's no really I think, big things to argue about this.
What the language here says, government should not dictate how tax revenue is allocated. Is
don't
that
know why
that
this
I don't
is-
understand that in
Okay.
reference to the line behind Prop 35, which says make permanent a tax. Are they allocating tax money or they're collecting tax money off
No,
these
it should
plans?
be collecting. I'm sorry. I feel like this has been rewritten and I'm picking out the wrong one. Let me see here.
This sounds like a great place to say taxation is that.
Yes. We should write that at the end. Okay, again, we'll rewrite this one. Yeah, it's imposing taxes. And so allocation,
Yeah.
I don't like that either. I agree.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with the SEC. Yeah, the position should be no, but we could change the rationale, and that's fine. I mean, we could vote if there's no objection. We can vote no on this one, and then the rationale can come. Like we can make the amendments as discussed and put it on the website accordingly.
Why don't we say I can hand it in before it gets approved for these two so far? Yeah, that should say something like just no further taxation being placed on private business. I actually wrote, I didn't write these, so I thought we had gone over these and didn't, I guess.
Look at you. You've really embraced the chair role, throwing others into the bus. Look at that. I've taught you well.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was called, what's it called? Allocating or what's the word? What's the word you use when you give people jobs?
Delegation.
Delegation, that's the word.
Delegation.
Okay, yeah, I know how to do that really well. I can't even remember the name. Prop 36, penalties for theft and drug trafficking. This one was a little bit of an argument back and forth. I know y'all might say, well, you know, drugs should be not criminalized, which we agree with that. But this has more to do with the crimes committed due to drug use and trafficking. And the argument that we came down on was yes, as a group, because of the accountability penalties deterring the actual crimes that go against private property and personal person. So I think that that's something that would probably be a yes, but I can hear arguments.
We're about to get one, I think, if the vice chair wants to weigh in here.
Okay.
He has to unmute, I assume, first. SpaceX not sending their best.
Thank you. So you read my recent review. Hey, yeah, so I don't like, it's part of this drug trafficking. I think if you actually read the proposition, it's drug possession, that they're just sort of calling trafficking as they tend to try to do the upcharge, try to make it sound more dangerous than it is. In terms of the theft, I mean, I think, you know, our $950 felony misdemeanor difference is not out of line. It's what we've had before. The problem is they're not prosecuting misdemeanors anymore. So I mean, I think that is fixed not by making inventing new felonies, but by simply enforcing the laws as they are. And that's kind of beside the point, I guess, because the drug trafficking is the one that I really object to. You know, maybe if they separated these two things, I could see getting stricter.
Hey, are you asking the state to divide the question?
I am. I think if it's an obvious split, one person can do that. But I have to go read my
That's what I heard. We'll have the parliamentarian weigh in later. Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. I don't like how split was it? If I could ask the committee chair, how split was it during this? Like, there's 7 members, right? Was it like 3,
No,
4?
there's only like 5 of us, I think.
Oh, sorry. There's 5. Yeah, there's 5. Was it
4 or 5.
split like 3-2 or?
Yeah, I'd say. And I will be honest, the person who was given the proposition to have an opinion to present, he did work for He worked for the penal system a long time, doing counseling with drug abusers and so forth. So I think he sees the negative effects of not having consequences for bad behavior. That was
Mr.
some of his thoughts about that, is that, you know, it's more of what the behavior does to our personal property and our, you know. So I do agree. I mean, I think that if we look further into this one, this was the other one that I was gonna say we were gonna have a lot of probably back and forth on, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, I'll give my 2 cents after Mr. Dean and then Mr. Strachan.
Is anybody familiar with Prop 47? Because that's where it's kind of keeping it at, if anybody can comment on that too.
Right. Well, Prop 47 was the misdemeanor theft below $1,000, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I went to a thing not long ago where Mike Hestrin, who's the DA of Riverside County, spoke, and Hestrin he's like the chair of the California DA's group, whatever that group is called, and he had a big long presentation about Prop 36, and from a libertarian perspective, it can make you a little queasy, but that's because it's dealing in some very specific things, and it's coming out of the realm of theory and into actual practice. It's revoking it's turning some of those thefts back into felonies, which they probably should be, because this is property crime, and I think we can all get behind prosecution for property crime. The drug thing it's trying to set up and codify a little more closely, as far as I understand it, like treatment courts, like mandated treatment instead of jail time. Like it's this sort of parallel drug court concept that has been practiced before, and I think they're looking to either to practice it again and make it more muscular here with Prop 36. So as a function of brass tacks and actual application to life, I think it's reasonable for a libertarian to vote yes on this. That if these systems exist, they need to work to try and help people, and everything about this is an attempt to do that. It needs to be evaluated. It's not going to be a magic fix, but this has potential.
We know how government's attempt at making our lives better always plays out.
Oh, I get it. I understand the skepticism, but I don't have a huge problem voting yes on this.
Okay, Mr. Strachan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. Well, I had some of the reservations that Mary Beth and Gary mentioned. Ultimately, I think, you know, realistically, this is highly likely to pass. I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to be sold as a reversal of Proposition 47. And I think Proposition 47, you know, has caused, certainly the way it's playing politically at the moment, I think is quite unpopular. And I think this will be sold as a reversal of it. And my own, I mean, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, no, I'm against really any kind of coercion, even, you know, diverting people to drug treatment programs. I'm in favor of a broad, you know, a broadly liberal approach to drugs, including needle exchanges and all that sort of thing. But I've also been to, you know, downtown Santa Monica recently, right? So I think we've all seen some of the real world results. I don't think we can ignore that. And I personally am having something of a crisis over a lot of the LP's kind of drug policies as a result of what we've seen, I think, in California over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, broadly, I think that I kind of agree. I think I agree. Tell me if I agree, Craig. Like, this is a function of brass tacks. This is real world application, right? We all want there to be private drug treatment. We all want there to be help that people get and so on. But right now, those systems just don't exist. And so some kind of system needs to start existing. And then as time goes, we can evaluate it, say this system is dumb. Let's start spinning pieces of the system off into private vendors and private charities and all that sort of thing to try and help these people get drug treatment. Because there are people who just need drug treatment. They don't even know what planet they're on. They can't make a choice to get treatment. At it's a leap as a libertarian to try and get to say, well, I guess this is an instance where government gets to try and lock somebody in a cage for something that's not violent. But in the real world, these people become violent. And so what do you do with that? I don't know. This is a step in that direction. It's not a fix. It needs to be evaluated. It needs to be watched. Watch it like a hawk. But I think that it's an interesting step and one that is not in and of itself objectionable.
Hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands of dollars from the Walgreens and CVS are going into this, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
They have to
it's,
close stores because the shoplifting's awful. I certainly wish they had separated these two things.
I know.
It's awful that they're both on the same thing because the theft thing is a great idea.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's packaged with this drug court thing.
Well, this is by design, and I'm assuming that additionally that they're seeing one as the consequence of the other. So the theft is increasing because drug trafficking is increasing. That therefore they must be what is it? Correlation must equal causation or whatever.
Well, and you know, I'm sure they can cite statistics, right? The people that we stop, the people that we cite for shoplifting when we cite them, because we don't actually arrest them, are all freaky homeless people who are going to sell this stuff for drugs. So let's deal with people for the drugs, get them some treatment, get them some help. And if they can get help, they'll quit stealing crap from the CVS. That's not a bad argument. It's not the argument I'd make, but it's a place to start.
Yeah, let's
Not sure.
Is this a place for a no opinion, vote your conscience?
Well, I'll read. Mr. Sullivan had a chat question, so he has to remain muted at the moment. So he said, "What is the supposed?" I'll just read directly from the chat. What is this about supposedly costing more after it would be implemented? Is the argument it would fill more jails and incur more costs, etc.?
Yeah, it would incur more costs, definitely for the treatment programs and possibly more jail time. Yes, that's what it states.
Okay.
It's a tough
Mr. Hartwig has an interesting suggestion. If we did end up going with yes, would it be possible to include a caveat in the explanation that we are primarily supporting it for the repealing of Prop 47 part, even though there are reservations about the rest? That seems like a plausible way to do it. Mr. Nichols, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was muted there for a minute. That's a really tough sell for me as a former homeless drug addict that was in and out of programs because I was forced to be. And my volunteer work with homeless people in the last several years in Fresno County. I don't see those programs as being effective. They were never effective for me. You know, I had to make the decision. It's too much of a slippery slope to package that in with the real crime that's committed that's associated with the drug itself. But that's just my opinion based on personal life experience.
Yeah, this one's tricky. So if I understand this correctly, let's do this. I think we're in agreement about all of them except for 36. 36 we'll do separately. So there'll be two separate motions. It'll be a slate, assuming that there's no other controversies, and then this one. And we'll do this one separately, and we'll let everyone kind of mull it over. I think if it goes, the three options, just to remind everybody, are no, at which point we'd have to provide an explanation as to why, which is some of the stuff that we've discussed now. It's yes, with perhaps I would very much like to see, if it does pass, that Mr. Hartwig's recommendation be taken into account, where we put the, why it's the yes specifically, the repealing Prop 47. And if it's the other option, of course, is no opinion. So we'll do kind of an informal poll before we go into an actual vote on this one, but we'll adopt all of them as it seems now. with the recommended positions as have already been discussed, and then we'll do this one separately. Is that fair?
Okay.
Silence is consent. Love it. All right. Again, quoting Plato, just to be clear, so that's not taken out of context.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to Prop 3.
Prop 3 is pretty easy. This is basically the right to marry and repeal Proposition 8. A vote for yes from the Libertarian Party, because it's going back to, are we really going to hammer down on the fact that it's got to be a man and a woman to marry? So they're trying to throw that back in to vote no. So we're saying yes because people should have the freedom to marry. Even though we actually do agree that there should be no state-run marriages, that it should all be civil unions, but we're not going to say that here.
Oh, we should say that here.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we may as well lean into that. Hey, the government should get out of marriage completely, but if they're going to be in marriage, then they have to deal it out fairly to everybody.
Okay.
I think that's the I think we need to make that position very, very clear. But any other additions or any other thoughts on Prop 3? Okay. Prop 4.
Prop 4 is a Parks, Environment, Energy, and Water. I have water bottle measure, but I think I typed that wrong. Water measure. It's $10 billion bond. Yay, another $10 billion. For local parks, environmental protection projects, water infrastructure, energy, blah, blah, blah. Not enough transparency, supported by environmentalists, opposed by Howard Jarvis. Obviously, again, we don't feel the government should be entrusted with more taxpayer funds to mismanage and, not know where the transparency is. Again, I actually have my own writing here. I'm going to redo a lot of these explanations without adding too many words, but I think I can add a little bit clarity to. But it's still a no vote for this would obviously be clear.
Okay. I'm inclined to agree here.
Okay. Like parks are, nice, but
yeah, I mean, to answer Mr. Sullivan's question, like, yes, just pick one. Some energy company, there's like 5 different ones. But yes,
all the energy companies have been caught in an economic scandal.
Yeah. Okay. Prop 5.
Okay, 5.
5 is lowering the supermajority requirement to 55% for all local bond measures to fund housing and public infrastructure amendment. That's a no. Dropping.
Well, if we could scroll down for just a minute, if the secretary would scroll down.
Vote, it should still be a supermajority to get these things funded because of all the, obviously unintended consequences of being able to pass again more bonds for more housing, for more infrastructure funded by big companies. And
yeah, for anyone to vote to take out a loan and collateralize it with their neighbor's property is just evil.
There you go.
Unless you don't like your neighbor. Would the secretary scroll down just a bit so we can see the reasoning for Prop 5? Okay, cool. Yeah, Mr. Nichols. Or is that a relic from the past?
Tom. Oh, Tom doesn't need it. Okay. We're almost there, guys.
I'm sorry, that was from before.
Okay.
Oh, no
Tom's
worries.
hand is always up because he's awesome.
Prop 6.
God.
It's
this guy.
The prop is to remove this is a little bit more controversial. Prop to remove involuntary servitude as punishment for crime amendment. That's what it's called. We went back and forth on this one. The debate was that a prisoner does lose their rights when they are in prison, so they don't get to decide not to work. This was funded by labor unions, by the way. Apparently there's something written into there to be paid, and I guess they'll start to want to form a union after they have this passed. So we object to corporate profits from the prison system. But ideally, prisons need to have some kind of work programs for the prisoners to have some consequences. And I don't know, again, this was from our
Yeah,
local,
this one's rough.
guy.
This one's rough.
It's rough.
Well, yeah.
Talk to Greg. Talk to Greg.
I'll let the vice chair take this one. I think we're going to be on the same page on this one too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I think we should support this. I think it's technically wrong to say it contradicts the Constitution. The Constitution allows forced labor, but I don't think the Constitution requires states to have forced labor. Also, I just think it's such a bad incentive. I mean, there was a DA that like forced people to stay in prison longer because they needed the forced labor. And I mean, she was severely punished. Oh no, I'm wrong. She wasn't. She's going to be our president in a few months.
Wait, who are you talking about? Who would do such a thing?
Like Kamala.
Who would do such a thing?
Doesn't matter.
It's okay.
So,
Unburdened. She's unburdened by what has been.
No, damn it! Don't take my joke. Damn it! She was trying to unburden what had been.
So it's all about incentives, and I think the forced labor just sets up really bad incentives.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Okay.
I think there's a fine line between forced labor and it could be voluntary labor if you want to eat. And I say that from somebody who's been incarcerated for a lengthy amount of time. I don't know. I'm kind of in favor.
Yeah, this one's okay. Is this the last one?
Yes.
Okay, let's scroll up to all the way to the top, and then we'll do a re-scroll slowly. So what I'm going to do for everyone, so everyone pay attention. I'm going to read out the positions for each one. We're going to do the ones that are uncontroversial as a slate, and then the two that are independent. So we'll have 3 roll call votes all together. Does that make sense to everybody?
Well, let's pick out the 2 controversial ones and
we're
table
going to
them.
go right.
Let's just table them and have them come back.
Okay.
Let's just not vote on them tonight.
Okay, let's do this then really quickly first. We're going to go through really quickly and make sure I'm either going to say like, yes, we're good to go, or table, I guess, or we just want to include them in the motion then, and we'll kind of get it at the end, and we'll see like where we are on that. So, okay, proposition 2, everyone's good with the no position, yes? All right, prop 32, everyone's good with the no position, yes?
Yes.
Okay, prop 33, everyone's good with the recommended position of no, right? All right, moving on. Prop 34, everyone is okay with no recommendation.
Undecided.
Is that correct?
No opinion, right?
No opinion.
Okay.
No opinion. Is everyone okay with that for prop 34?
And then I would still like to write in there a little bit of statement stating the reason why.
Yeah, that's fine. You can change so we're just voting on the official position. You can always change the stuff after. It's not going to really make a difference. But I can run it by the XCOM once we have a finalized one before it's all up on the website. But we're just voting on the position on the positions for these. Okay, so everyone's good with the no position on 34. For 35, everyone's good with the no position. Okay. For 36. Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Apostolopoulos. Let's move up to 33 again.
33? Okay.
So is the position to vote no on 33?
Yes. So
correct.
You're voting no to avoid
I got it.
repealing.
I got it. I understand now. Yeah, sorry, my mistake. I get it. Yeah, the repealing, voting yes would allow rent control. I got it.
You scared me. We were about to disavow. There's always what I explain to people. It's always that I always vote no on everything except for the one that's a double negative. They usually vote yes on, but then this time they did it like a triple negative. So now you have to vote no again.
Yeah,
that's the funny one.
My mistake. No, we're good on 33. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So 35, we're good with the recommended position of no. Okay, 36, we're okay with the recommended. Oh wait, 36 was the
No.
controversial one.
That's a
So
controversial.
we'll skip 36.
But we're leaning towards no.
Possibly, yes. Seems that way, or at the very least, it's split. Okay,
So
and
we'll just do
then
question mark. Okay.
for Prop 3, everyone is good with yes,
But we're gonna add something to that about the state should be out of.
right?
Okay.
And then for Prop 4, we're good with the no. Because everyone here, no one here believes in climate change. Shame. All you bunch of flat earthers.
We just don't believe, we don't believe the state could help with it, that's all.
No, nice try, flat earther. All right, Prop 5. Everyone is good with the no.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is
That's
the one that we're tabling.
All right.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to make this easier. So if the secretary can make it smaller, like so that it pans out, I'm just going to do the motion. I'm going to do the motion by reading them off, I guess. Try to. So let's scroll back up to the top. I should have been writing these down, but I didn't think that's smart. That much ahead. So I'm. Oh yes, go ahead. So I was going to say. Is that the top? Is Prop 2 the top one, or is
Yes.
there one?
Can we
Okay.
now change that on here? We can't, right? I have to change it and send it to you. The way.
Yeah, if you could change it and send it to us so that it'll just make it easier for that.
Okay.
But so what I'll do is I'll say I will move to adopt the legislative committee's recommendations on propositions 2, 32, 33, 34, 35.
No, you don't want, 34 we didn't decide, or do we want no opinion?
Right.
There's no
That's
opinion.
Okay.
yeah, there's no opinion on that one. So that's going to be the official position, is no
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
And then we'll scroll down. So I threw 35 in there. What's the rest of them?
Oh, see, I did have an edit next to 34 on the side there. Now I see it.
And if the sec could scroll down just a bit more.
Yeah, scroll down. Yeah.
So we'll do 30.
So the only one we're not
30,
taking on is 6.
3, 4, 5. And that's it. And then we're completely omitting proposition 36 and 6.
Correct. So we're not even putting in no opinion?
No, we're adopting, that's going to be the official position, is no opinion on that one. That's something that everyone got agreed to.
And 6,
unless
we might have.
And then 6 and 36, we're going to just not vote on them right now at all. We're going to revisit these at a later date. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just doing the motion so we can, so we can do it as,
gotcha.
right.
Okay.
So does everyone understand what we're voting on? So what I pretty much just did, Mr. Brown is right. We're postponing, not tabling. Well, I mean, we're not even adopting them as a motion. So we're gonna just ignore them. But so what we're doing right now is, just so that everyone's on the same page here, we're adopting the legislative committee's recommendations for all of them, except for proposition 36 and 6. We're postponing those. And the one that just changed right now was the one that's no opinion, which I believe was Prop 34. So that's what we're voting on. So does everyone understand what the motion the motion is not yet on the table because no one seconded yet, but does everyone understand the motion that I made? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Nichols. Is there any further discussion? I'll just add one quick thing. Mr. Dean made a recommendation. If the committee chair would be so kind as to put this in a Google Doc, or I can do it once I get the opportunity to, I can copy and paste it and put it into a Google Drive, Google shared file that everyone can give a comment on or edit, so that when we come up with the reasoning for the positions, everyone is happy with the language and everyone can see it in real time, and that'll just allow me to copy and paste it and put it on the website.
This is a
So,
Google Doc. No?
oh, okay. Yeah. So if you could, if you wouldn't mind, if you could try sending that to me one more time, because I don't know what happened the first time. Then what I can do is I can just share it with, if you could give it sharing permissions to just the people that have the link, then, you know, Mr. Dean or Mr. Alston, whoever wants to comment on the, you know, I want to keep it as concise as it is, but if anyone wants to add words, you know, that'll give them the opportunity. And then at the end, we can just put democracy is dumb. This is all dumb, and then call it a day.
Okay.
But oh, look, I made the secretary smile. I always like it when I make him smirk because I feel like it's so hard. Okay, so everyone understands what we're voting on? Is there any further discussion on this? We're going to do a roll call vote. Whenever, yeah, if everyone is good, there's no further discussion. Whenever the secretary is ready, we'll do a roll call vote on the motion.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Ms. Halsey,
Yes.
Mr. Tom,
Aye.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Hartman,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
and Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr. Cardin
Yes.
and Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the vote is 13-0-0-0.
The chair will now vote on this motion. The motion passes unanimously.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I have
Chair,
a
you
conflict of
say-
interest.
Oh, you would not.
The chair is not voting on this. There's a conflict of interest for me, so I'm gonna not abstain, just not gonna vote. And then so the motion passes unanimously. Okay, cool. So we'll work on those, and if we have to just call a quick special meeting just with quorum to get them through, or we can wait until the September meeting, they can be proposed then, and that's all fine. That's all good and well. So we might have to have I'll talk about it in a little bit. We might have to have a quick meeting before September, but if we don't, then the last two can wait till September and it'll be fine. But good, very good. Once I have that shared doc from the committee chair, I'll send it to the XCOM, and then everyone can, you know, whittle away at comments or edits or all that stuff. So awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your hard work, and I very much appreciate you sticking it out with us here.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Hope you finish soon. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, we'll do. Oh, and then the secretary can stop screen sharing whenever they want, unless people want to read the propositions in more detail. But okay, so we'll move on to the next item really quickly. So just a reminder to everybody that the next meeting, we do not have a scheduled per the OPM change, the operating procedures manual. We will not have a Zoom meeting next month. That's the in-person meeting. So that takes place Saturday, September 21st, 2024. We will call to order at 9 a.m. The location again is Mind and Mill. This is all in the agenda that was sent out. 3615 Main Street, Riverside, California, 92501. Just as a reminder to everybody, this is not a hotel that we're doing it in. Mr. Dean took care of all the accommodations, was very gracious about it. So we thank him for his time and his donation. And I guess before, just as a quick reminder to everybody, and I will remind the NAC to offline. So again, for those of you that are in the north, it's roughly about a 7-hour drive, give or take. I don't suspect anyone will want to fly down, but if you do your thing. So what we'll do is we'll knock all of that out. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. So what we'll do is if you're going to drive down or do whatever, just remember you have to be there at 9 a.m. so that we call to order. You don't want to make people wait because we don't have quorum. If you want to make hotel accommodations either Friday night or Saturday night, that's all you. There's no special rate or anything. We're not doing it at a hotel. We're saving the party money. So just a thought for everybody, and then I'll let Mr. Dean add anything that he may want to add.
Just to add that there are at least 3 major chain hotels in less than a block from the venue where we're going to be meeting. To say nothing of the Mission Inn itself, which is right next door, though the Mission Inn is expensive. So yeah, there's plenty of places to stay right in downtown. And so if you are bringing a car, you can leave your car at that hotel, whatever it is, and walk to the meeting. So you're not going to have to deal with paid parking in the Riverside downtown and all of that foolishness. And I've got a great place. I want everybody to come with me for lunch, which is 2 blocks away, and so we can walk it.
You had me at everything but walking. Someone will carry me, and I vote for the vice chair. That's part of your duties.
There are not taxi rickshaws in downtown Riverside yet.
Okay. And then actually, Mr. Carter brings up a good point. If you cannot make this meeting, just to ensure that we're going to have quorum. I mean, we've never had this issue before. We came very, very close one time when the meeting was in Sacramento, I believe. But if you are not planning on attending this meeting because you can't, you have a previous engagement or whatever, make sure that you inform me and let me know so that we can make sure that we can make proper accommodations as necessary. Anything else on this agenda? I just wanted to remind everybody that there is no Zoom meeting as of now. There's no scheduled Zoom meetings. It would have to be called by me if we had to do it. And then everything else. We good? Okay. Moving on to the next. So the next 3 items on the agenda are going to be an executive session for the aforementioned reasons. So political strategy, potential litigation, and then the investigatory committee report and potential action afterward. Here's what we're going to do. I know that it's close to 9. I don't anticipate these items taking as long as I agendize them for, but some of these discussions could get interesting, and I assume that there will be a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do, just to make it easier on some people, I'm going to do this in, I guess, order of importance. And if people have to drop off, well, we really need to power through these 3. We can't do it because the LNC meeting is also coming up this week, and this needs to be taken care of. I'm trying to think about the best way to do this. I think I can power through the first 2 pretty quickly. And then, so we're going to do this. So I'm going to move to go into executive session with the executive committee, the Region 4 representative, and Jonathan Jacobs. But since we're going over the first 2 first, Mr. Jacobs, are you okay being left in the waiting room, and then we'll call you in when we're at the last item? We're going to just discuss all 3.
I was about to ask about that. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yes. Okay, cool. So I will move to go into executive session with the executive committee, the Region 4 representative, and Mr. Jacobs when he is summoned. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Halsey. And again, the reasoning given is political strategy, potential litigation, and just potential litigation on all fronts. So, okay. So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this topic? Hearing none, the motion passes. We will move into executive session. So if you are not supposed to be in executive session, I will move you into the waiting room. That is the easiest way. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording for right now.
All right. Thank you all for enduring that lengthy executive session. Okay, now that we're back, I will go ahead and move to adopt the investigatory committee report as presented. And it will be attached to the minutes, of course, as it always is. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Apostolopoulos. Is there any discussion on adopting the investigatory committee report? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. We're just adopting
Just the
the
report
in this vote.
Yeah, just the report.
And this is the Exhibit A document that we discussed.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Halsey,
Aye.
Mr. Tom?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Hartwig,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
and Mr. Sullivan, I believe, is absent. Mr. Cardin, did he leave as well?
He did at 9:25.
Yes, that's right. I have that. Thank you. Mr. Apostolopoulos?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the vote is 11-0-0-0.
The chair will vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. I would like to thank the members of the investigatory committee, the chair, Gary Alfstead, Mr. Edgar, and Mr. Chris Edgar, and Mr. Lauren Dean. Thank you so much. We'll now move to the next part of this item. If the secretary would be so kind as to put the text on the screen, I'll read it as I make the motion.
Sorry, just a moment.
No worries.
This is correct here. Okay. Oh, this has a draft line on it, so I'm just going to remove the draft line. Give me one moment, please. Actually, all right. Yeah, let's just put this on the screen.
Yeah, it'll be. It technically is until it's adopted, right?
Okay. There we are.
Right, excellent. So I will move to adopt the following resolution based on the IC's report. Whereas a committee appointed by the Executive Committee thoroughly investigated the conduct of several members of the Judicial Committee in regard to an appeal to the Judicial Committee dated May 21st, 2024. As further detailed in the report attached as Exhibit A hereto, such conduct included A, reaching a decision without a hearing as required in the bylaws, B, reaching a decision without informing the parties as required in the bylaws, C, presenting to the Libertarian Party's Credential Committee by way of the chair of the Judicial Committee that this was the properly adopted decision of the Judicial Committee, whereas these actions disturbed the well-being of the Libertarian Party of California and hampered it in its work, and whereas one parliamentary authority states that a motion to censure is, quote, a warning, end quote, and is aimed at, quote, prevention of further offending acts, end quote, resolved that the involved members of the Judicial Committee be censured for violating the bylaws, resolved that the involved members of the Judicial Committee be censured for violating the rights of the parties in the appeal, and resolved that the chair of the Judicial Committee be censured for claiming the decision was the properly enacted decision of the Judicial Committee before the Credentials Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Halsey. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready.
Okay. We'll begin with Mr. Alfstad.
I will abstain.
Okay. I am going to abstain as well. Ms. Halsey,
Yes.
Mr. Tom,
Aye.
Mr. Dean,
Abstain.
Mr. Brown,
I'll abstain.
Mr. Byrd,
Aye.
Mr. Hartwig,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. Strachan,
Abstain.
Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the vote is 6 yes, 0 no, 5 abstain, and 0 not voting.
The chair will vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. I will just say for the record that Mr. Sullivan, had he not had to leave, was in favor of this resolution as well. All right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. God, I hope there's no new business. Is there any new business? All right, awesome. No action items. All right, so there's only one thing left. Who wants to do the honors?
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Dean moves to adjourn. Mr. Strachan, I'll take that as a second. Is there any objection?
I want to stay on longer.
Oh, actually, CSC members, stick around for 30 seconds. We need to, after this, because we need to reschedule the meeting this week. So is there any objection outside of Miss Halsey being facetious? I hope.
Yes.
Hearing none. The meeting is adjourned at 10:25 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Thank you all. I will pause the recording or stop the recording.